The PS Portal has been out for almost 2 weeks, but the reception on it is still very mixed, with some people loving it and other people saying that it's just not enough. What's most interesting is that one person called the PS Portal a, quote, remarkable failure. Look, I'm sure we can all agree that a, quote, remarkable failure is just a bit hyperbolic, but it does make for good content. One thing is clear, whatever you choose to call the Portal, it is not a failure. Remarkable, yes, but not a failure. Here's the truth. The PS Portal is doing exactly what Sony wants it to do. The VP of Sony recently stated that the only reason the PS Portal was made wasn't to make a profit, but rather to increase engagement with the PS5. And whenever you check Twitter or Reddit, it's pretty clear that most people understand this, and this is the reason why they bought the Portal. Even those who are pretty certain the Portal was a big mistake by Sony have one, because really what the Portal really is a device that does one thing extremely well: remote play. For all its flaws and other things that the Portal doesn't have, it's already done what it's supposed to do, which is just to allow me to play my PS5 games even more. And I know this sounds weird because yes, I have the PS5. Why would I just not play my PS5 on my gaming monitor like I always do? The genius of the PS Portal is that Sony understands that sometimes you just want a game in an uncomfortable position for an hour or two, or you just want to go outside in the backyard or the front porch to do your gaming. And I know it sounds really weird to say this because in 2023, we have 65-inch televisions with full 4K running at 240 Hertz. But comfort is still always the number one pursuit. And this is the logic of the PS Portal and why so many people like it. The 1080 screen might seem like it's not enough resolution, but on a small device like this, when you're playing it so close up, it looks perfect. And the controller is the exact same controller as the PS5, minus a few adjustments. This right here is actually a little bit smaller than the PS5 controller. But you get the idea that what Sony wants is a way for people to play their PS5 games on the go without having to figure out a new control scheme or getting used to a new controller. And in my honest opinion, that's actually the best thing about this device. Perhaps the most consumer-friendly aspect of this device is this 3.5 jack that Sony included in there. Yes, you can pay more to get the Sony headphones specifically made for this, but pricing is a very big issue here. So yes, including a 3.5 jack at the bottom for people to insert their headphones in is a very, very good call. However, the more that I played the PS Portal, the more that I understand the frustrations of certain people. Because as great as the PS Portal is, it kind of leaves you thinking, why isn't there more? For example, yes, the screen is great, but if it was OLED, it would be even better. And yes, the controls are the same as the PS5, but Sony does have another control, which is the DualSense Edge, that has the back pedals, and you start to think, why didn't you just give us that? Remember what the VP of Sony said, that the PS Portal wasn't made for profit, it was made for engagement, because that gives us a clue as to why it seems to be lacking a lot of features. By creating a device that's not meant to be standalone, the PS Portal can comfortably sit at a very cheap price of $200, which actually makes more people want to buy it. And every feature that could be added to the PS Portal would increase the price so much so that most consumers simply wouldn't buy the device because it would be too much over their price range. Again, let's look back at the device itself. The controller. The price difference between a regular PS5 controller and the DualSense Edge is $200. Meaning that if Sony chose to implement the DualSense Edge within the Portal, the lowest they can probably price it before losing profit is going to be around $150, which means that with just a single change, we've already gone from a $200 device to a possibly $300 to $350 device. And yes, OLED screen might not be that expensive to implement, But at the very least, it would be around $50 to $75 price increase if the PS Portal came with it. And then we arrive at the biggest money cost. What if the PS Portal was a standalone device? This would increase the price significantly. A Steam Deck with just 128 gigabytes of space costs around $700, and the Steam Deck with 512 gigabytes of space, that's over $1,000. All of that added together, before we know it, the price of the PS Portal would at the very least be no cheaper than $700. Or if you're going extremely modest, the lowest the PS Portal can possibly go for is around $500. But I guarantee you, if the PS Portal came with all those features, it would be closer to $700 because that's just what the market is going for. Even the 7-year-old Switch, the OLED version, is still going for $400. And by now, the PS5 supersedes the Nintendo Switch by such a wide margin that you couldn't possibly ask Sony to release a portable device and price it lower than the Nintendo Switch OLED. But here's the thing, hope is not lost because you need to keep in mind that Sony is the masters of pro console, meaning all the things that I just stated as a possible addition could actually happen if Sony believes that Sony enthusiasts would be willing to pay $600 to possibly $1,000 to get a more capable, more portable PS Portal. The more that I think about it, I think the evidence is pretty strong that this is possible because again, remember, the VP of Sony stated that the reason why the PS Portal was made was not to make a profit. But given that it's sold out everywhere, surely Sony is already making a profit. And perhaps the profit margin is much more than they anticipated. If the success of the PS Portal continues, there might be a renewed interest in a more pro version of that device, and therefore Sony would likely make that to appease the enthusiast.